welcome to Curiously Factual.
Just a curious stoner.
And a factual engineer.
Yep.
So today we are going to be talking about Black Mirror, and we've both seen it.
Me, not as much as her.
I got really into Black Mirror really quickly, and me being the person that I am, I can't just enjoy a show. I have to think way too hard about it and come up with a bunch of theories, especially with a show like Black Mirror. If you haven't seen Black Mirror, this is going to make no sense to you
Absolutely
whatsoever. So do that, come back. So when I watched it the first time...
Oh, okay, yeah, we definitely need to talk about our first time. We have to talk about our first time before we get into this. Okay, you go first on your first time.
Okay, so I heard about it, it was years ago. I think there was only 2 seasons out. And I watched the first episode, which is the national anthem, the one where.
That was your first episode?
I watched from the beginning. I was like, I have to watch this from the beginning. So that was the first episode I saw, and the guy fucked a pig. I was like, Is this the show I've been hearing so much about?
That's so yeah.
I didn't even know that it was a different episode, like a different.
Sporadic series?
Yeah, like I don't want to say it's a different world every episode because that's part of the theory. But I didn't understand what it was. So then when I watched the second episode, which was the Waldo, no it wasn't. That was the second season.
Yeah, get into your notes.
Yeah.
It's getting your typing, that's cool.
Tip tip tip. This is a ASMR / radio. Okay, so season 2 episode 2 is 15 Million Merits, which is totally different.
Whoa.
Yeah, so
okay.
That's why I was like, 15 Million Merits is the one that really drew me in because I liked the idea behind it.
Yeah.
I like that it's a technology-based show. So the first time I watched it, I went through it all, absolutely fell in love, and I was by the end of season 2, I was really curious about if it was all tied together or not.
Mm-hmm. But
that's kind of where I left it. I didn't start really thinking about it and how they're all connected until I think it was season 4, the last episode, Black Museum.
That's when I thought so as well. That's when it finally clicked in my head that they were all connected or in the same universe.
Right, because they had it's Black Museum. They had They had everything.
They had every episode, every piece of technology or something from each episode.
Yeah. So watching all that made me. As soon as I watched Black Museum, I was inspired. I was like, I have to draw this out. This can't just live in my head. I can't just know that they're all connected. I have to explain how and why. And that leads me to this document that I made years ago at this point, that I updated with Bandersnatch in season 5. But this is my entire theory of how they are connected and why. Okay. And I just wanted to present that to you. Yes. You don't know much about all of this theory and how I came up with it. You are a casual viewer.
Yeah. Yep.
Because you're not as crazy as I am.
Well, for me, my first time watching it, I didn't know what Black Mirror was. I just saw it all over Netflix. I see people talking about it. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, I don't know. And I think it was you who showed me my first episode.
I did.
And it was Nosedive.
Yes.
And I was very confused, but I really liked it. That's literally like how it started off. I was just like, what the fuck is this? I was like, wow, this really sucks. Like, I'm like, this is really the world how it's getting. That's like where it's going. But then, I don't remember my next episode. I think we started
The Entire History of You.
Oh man, yeah,
what was the next one?
That was my next one.
Because that's one of my favorites, so I had to show that to you.
Yeah, San Junipero.
And then it was San Junipero after that because gay.
And then game test. Is that what it's called? Playtest. That's when it really, I mean, besides San Junipero, I loved that one. Playtest blew my fucking mind. Mm-hmm. How everything happened within a millisecond. And he just died. And I was like, what? Like, that made my stomach hurt. Because I was so confused, my stomach hurt.
By the way, spoiler alert, obviously.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah. But that was, and then, like you said, Black Museum is kind of like, for me, is when it kind of clicked. Everything was like together. I was like, whoa, what? Like, wait, what? And I was was like, okay. I was watching everything out of order in shuffle, and then finally I was like, all right, I should just watch it all in order. And I finally did that, and I was like, what the fuck?
In order, because...
In order of Netflix.
Right.
Or the way they released them.
Yeah.
We should talk about why they did that. Why they released them that way.
I don't know why they released them that way.
Just think about it. We'll theorize into that.
We'll theorize. That'll be later on in the podcast. So, when I made this, I really wanted to show not only a finished timeline, but I wanted to kind of understand how I reached the points that I did, because that to me was very important to why it works and why it makes sense. And in the beginning of me trying to put this all together, I started doing research, which basically just meant I went on YouTube, I went online, and I really wanted to see what was already out there. I wanted to see if there was a timeline that matches the theory that was kind of bouncing around in my head. So I do have a couple of, like I have a YouTube video and another article that I found really helpful that we'll definitely put down in the description. I will link that because I highly recommend going and seeing that. That really helped me see it. But I did have a really big problem with these timelines that I saw because they were all based on Easter eggs. They were all based on these little things that they would put in the show, which in the video themselves where they're talking about it, they say that there's a lot of red herrings. There's a lot of things that they throw in that are meant to throw you off of where it is in the timeline. And I think that there's one thing that really connects the show in a way that isn't just Easter eggs. But it turns out to also align with a lot of those. And that's technology and the different themes of technology that happen throughout the show. Because it's a very technology-based show. Every single episode has its own technology that it's really focused on and a story around that technology. Yeah. So, I went through the very, very first thing I did was that I wanted to make a timeline based on technology alone. And I noticed themes of technology. So I wrote down the biggest technologies that we see over and over again throughout the show. So I'm going to explain those. The first one I started off with was mass. It enhances your senses. You really see it in Men Against Fire.
That's what the technology is called, is mass?
Mass.
Okay.
Yeah. It stands for something. 2 seconds. Well, it's an implant, and it's military something sensory. I don't know what it stands for.
Military adjustment sensory something like that.
We're gonna go with that.
Something.
But basically, it just enhances your senses. That's what we see throughout that entire episode. The next technology that I noticed was Archangel. It is also an implant. It blocks some memories. It transmits and tracks memories. And it also has no sensation transfer. So you...
What do you mean no sensation
transfer?
It
like reads... It's like... How do I explain this? Well, if you've seen Archangel...
Yes.
Right, so you know that it has the tablet, and so you can't control other people's emotions, you can just see what is happening.
Right.
Right, so it doesn't... It just kind of reads and tracks memories and lets you see what's happening. And that's pretty much what it does.
But not controlling what they're...
You control what they're seeing, not what they're feeling. You can block it out, but you can't control what they're feeling, which makes sense.
Yeah.
So then, another piece of technology is the robot dogs. We see this in the distant future. They're fully automated. They can track. They can hack things. We see it in Metalhead. That's really the episode that we see these drones, these robot dogs. It's actually very similar technology to, you know, that YouTube video where they have the dogs.
Would they slip on bananas? That's what I connected it to.
Yeah.
All around me. As he's falling.
Yeah. But we really see that. That's another technology that I took note of. One of the biggest ones is the cookie. And these are when they upload the entirety of a person. They upload the consciousness. Like we see this, the beginning of it in Black Museum. It was known as the pain simulator. We see it in White Christmas, San Junipero, Rachel, Jack, and Ashley too. Like, that's when you take your entire consciousness and put it in something else. We also see a DNA scanner that uploads consciousness to the cloud using DNA. We see that in USS Callister, right? Drone bees, they're smart artificial bees that spy on the population for the government. They are also fully automated, like with the dogs, but it seems like that's much more, it's a newer
kind of technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is from Hated in the Nation.
Yeah.
We also see the grain, which is a part of my favorite episode, The Entire History of You. We see that multiple times. An implant that goes behind the ear. You get gray eyes, and you see your memory. You can project your memory, so you have a perfect memory.
I feel like that kind of technology would really benefit people.
I think it would hurt people. I know for me.
Happens, or,
dude, I want to lose some of my memory. I don't want to remember everything and have to relive it over and over again and be curious about it and overanalyze
and have
everything.
the chance to actually go back and see it.
Yeah, without changing it. You can't change it. You could just go back and literally, like, see what you did.
That's true.
The good and the bad. Yeah, that's a lot.
You know, one thing they didn't really touch base on.
Alright, and we're back. We might have to change, we have to edit some things because the camera shuts off every 10 to 15 minutes, looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, so in The Entire History of You, there was one person at the dinner party that didn't have the grain, and everyone was shocked by it.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
Who didn't have it?
She's just a side character. She's the one that guy, the one who cheats on her husband.
Yeah.
The guy that she was with before.
Yeah.
That's the girl that he goes home with that night.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense.
But she didn't accept it because she wanted to live in the moment. And so that's what I feel like it would be. For hipsters and people who want to live in the moment.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's the grain. We also see like the dead being reincarnated, like in Be Right Back, based on social media and who the person is. They try and recreate that as best as possible. The mushroom is what it was called in the first time that this technology came up, and that was in playtest. That was the implant that he was able to see in sort of a VR, but it was reality. Corroborator displays memories on the screen. That's what they called it in Crocodile, which is what
the corroborator?
Corroborator, yeah. So it corroborates people's stories, their memories. And then the ZI, it is similar to Archangel. You have personal control of the same features. So it's like an upgrade of the Archangel technology, because the Archangel, the parents can see and do everything for their child. In White Christmas, he hired this guy who was there to help him pick up girls.
Yeah.
So they used that technology where you can see and you can interact with the person, but he had control of it because he was a grown ass man, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be his parents. He had control at that point. So all I did here was just list out different technologies that we see in different themes. After that, I listed out every single Black Mirror episode, and I put it in categories without any particular order. There's no real timeline yet. I just put it in order of technology. So like when we see this technology, or we see this technology in this episode. So the first category I made was uploading and copying people. And I will also have this entire document, like, so you can see it in the description, because it might be easier to see it as well than just hear it. Yeah. So uploading and copying people, you have like Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2, where Miley Cyrus is put into a, I wouldn't call it a drone, it's a doll.
It's like a cookie, but as a drone. To me.
Sort of,
That's what I took it as.
Yeah.
Like if the cookie could turn into a tiny little person.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, because you see later that they did upload her entire consciousness and just put a limiter on it. So
right.
they did take her entire consciousness. Yeah. We also see it in Black Museum. We see it in specifically the Cassie and Jack story where her consciousness, it was brutal.
That one hurt me.
It's brutal.
That one hurt.
But where she was in a coma and they put her consciousness in his brain at first and then into a teddy bear. That was her entire consciousness.
That was so messed up.
Yeah.
Such a messed up situation.
Yeah. We also see it in the prisoner story because his entire consciousness was there and they tortured him. They put him in that,
it was like a
the electric chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his consciousness that was uploaded.
That's so fucking crazy.
We also see it, sorry.
He wasn't even, like, guilty.
Yeah,
he was an innocent man. Mm.
We also see it in White Christmas, the cookie story, where he gets him, for this one we see it with the girl that wanted to have the ultimate house assistant, right?
Yeah.
So she underwent a surgery that put her consciousness into like an Alexa.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what we saw in that.
She thought it was her too.
It was her.
Yeah, it was.
It was her uploaded. And then we also see this technology in San Junipero. That's what they do when you die. They kill you and put your consciousness into this
iCloud.
Yeah, they put it into a cloud.
Well, they called it the cloud. Actually,
they did.
The cloud, not iCloud. Just
yeah, they called it the cloud. You're right. That's a good point. Yeah. And then this kind of goes into a different theory that I have, that I will get into in a little bit, but I put 15 Million Merits and Nosedive and Hang the DJ all within this uploading and copying people. I'll explain it more in a little bit, but basically I believe that those episodes, the ones that are completely a different world, the ones that throw you into something totally different, I believe that those all episodes are from the perspective of the consciousness that is uploaded.
Yeah. Because
they make a point or they're testing something. In 15 Million Merits, they're generating energy for a world, and they also make comments on fame and how that can get to you. Yeah. And so it seems like a sort of simulated world. Because it doesn't make sense to be living in that world.
And they don't really explain it either like they do in the other one.
Exactly.
And Hang the DJ and stuff like that.
Exactly.
They explain it immediately and at the end.
At the end.
Of Hang the DJ.
Which is why I didn't understand that until I saw Hang the DJ, where it's a very similar vibe. You know what I mean? You get the same...
It's a weird vibe. It's just off.
Right, because the only thing that matters in this world is that you're set up with somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's you have a year, 3 years, one night with them at this random cottage. Like that doesn't make sense in reality. You know, you see them exercise, but like that's it. Their whole world.
I don't even remember them. Going on runs. Yeah, that's the only thing.
Yeah, and so at the end, it breaks you out into the simulation, and you see that they are a part of the real world, and that was just a test to see if they're compatible.
That one blew my mind too, man.
Right.
I loved it because they were like, "Oh, it's so good to meet you in real life,"
and
I was like, "Oh shit!"
It was like 99% accurate, and I was like, "Ah!" I got so excited.
The little girl comes out of us.
Our simp.
Our simp comes out.
Shit. So that's why, because of the vibe of that one, I really feel like Nosedive and 15 Million Merits are also in that. Which, I'll get into the actual timeline later, but just know that that's my theory. We also see the uploading and copying people in White Bear. You know, that's what happens.
Yeah.
You know?
Another thing.
Yeah, because she's being tortured and she's living in this crazy thing that she doesn't know, and that's because they uploaded her consciousness to that. And you see that in there. Also, Be Right Back. This is a little bit different because it's more towards the beginning, but they take his social media, and after he's dead, after he passed away, they take his social media and try and recreate him.
Through his social media.
So that is trying to copy people or upload people. Okay. Another category that I put, the second one, I have 5 total. So the second one is simulated reality. And in this, it's not, you know that you're in this. You know that this is something that you're a part of. And it's mostly in video games. So, like, you have USS Callister, where you literally upload yourself-ish. You come out of it. Right? But you see it in USS Callister. You also see it in Playtest, the beginning of it. Right? It's a simulated reality. That's the whole point.
That's the whole reason as to why he went for money, actually.
Exactly. You also see it with the pain simulator in Black Museum. So he puts a thing on, I pinch you, and I feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's simulated reality. And then you also see it in Striking Vipers, which is the same thing as Playtest, just out there more, to where you are in this completely virtual reality world that you turn on and off for yourself.
Yes. And the way their eyes look when they are on and off is the same way.
Same as the grain.
It's the same as the grain.
That fits into my theory. Good on you, man. Yes. Okay. Good observation. Okay. The third category I have is observed or enhanced self. So for this, it's technology that either other people can observe or you can observe, or it enhances your senses or things that you can do. The first one that I have in here is Men Against Fire. And that's the mass system. And that's where it makes them the ultimate soldier. That's the whole point of it. They see the enemies not as people, as these creatures, as these zombie-like things. And the only reason that happens is because of of the mass. Yeah. You also see it in Archangel. Again, you can block it out. Someone can see your thoughts or see what's going on with you.
See what you're doing.
Exactly. The entire history of you, again, you look back at that, but it's the same technology.
And you can show people your memories as well, not just have it in you.
Right. Crocodile, this is kind of where you see it in the beginning. This is when she goes out to people that could be involved in a crime or are witnesses and reads their memory. She sees it pretty grainy, but she sees their memory on this device, which, again, is observed self.
Yeah.
You're observing someone else and what they think. And then in White Christmas, we also see it, and this is with the blocking story. So when the girl cheats on her husband and has a child, and they get into a fight, and she blocks him, he no longer exists.
And he can't even see the child either.
Exactly. And later on in the episode, he actually gets blocked from seeing everybody, which means that they all have them.
That wasn't him that got blocked, though.
It was him.
It wasn't the white guy.
Oh, you're right.
It was the guy who was in the background helping the nerd get a girl.
Yes, you're right.
And that was his punishment because he admitted to so many crimes as he was inside the cookie.
Yeah, so he was finally let out, but into a terrible life. Okay, the next one, the fourth one that I have is drones, and we really only see this twice, but it's the same technology, and it's really interesting, and it goes together in my theory. But for drones, you have Metalhead, which is the one with the dogs, and you also have Hated in the Nation, which is the one with the bees that attack people.
The bees are so cute, though.
Cute?
They're cute at
They're
first.
What?
Murder hornets.
So my fifth and final category is reality, and these are the ones that have some variation with technology. Some of them are a little bit more advanced. Some of them are really set in our time.
Or could be set in our time.
Right. And for this one, I have the national anthem. Very little over technology. It's very much similar to the world we see. The Waldo moment, similar thing. They actually say in it that it's about a year, or you can tell it's about a year after the Waldo moment. I'm sorry, the national anthem. And then Shut Up and Dance is another one. You remember what happened in that one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. There was a kid who was, like, jerking off to kid porn.
Yeah. And then Bandersnatch, the movie, also fits into this. They actually give a date for that, which I will get into later, because that starts off our timeline, because that grounds us into the timeline.
Everything, too.
So once I had the categories, I put them in order by category. For example, I'll just start off with drones. Okay, I only had 2 episodes that were in the drone category. So all I did was put them in order to see how that technology develops. Yeah. So, I had Hated in the Nation Metalhead. Hated in the Nation is the first one in this timeline because we see the development of smart technology and surveillance, but it hasn't taken over the world. You see that people are controlling this.
Yeah.
And they are just there. You see the beginning of this being a part of the world.
Okay.
You know?
The bees.
The bees.
Yeah.
Yes. And then that comes before Metalhead. And Metalhead,
of course, yeah.
Right, is a dystopian world where everything's gone. And really the humans are battling the drones. And that's the world that they know. That's why I think it's in black and white, because it's so far in the future that everyone's regressed.
I remember when we were thinking of this timeline, that's when we were bouncing off back and forth. Like, that has to be the last one. That has to be the last one. It's like, no, I don't know yet. We were going back and forth on that one. A lot because of that.
Yeah. Which is really interesting, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So then the second one, so that's an example of what I did. So I listed out all of the episodes first in their categories, and now I'm listing it in order. So the second one I did was the simulated reality one. And the first one on this timeline is the pain simulator from Black Museum. And a lot of the beginning episodes are the stories that we see in Black Museum, because it is, throughout the whole thing, he is talking about how this is the beginning.
The beginning of technology, the beginning of something new.
Right. So mostly it's in our world that we know, but it is an advancement of that. So specifically the pain simulator, we see for the first time that sensations can be passed between individuals without touching. And it is developed for medical research, which makes sense because, you know, if I was to come up with this technology and in, you know, the research world, you would do it on people that, you know, not the average person, the people that need it, the people that are already, in a sense, disadvantaged. For example, people that are sick, people that are dying, people in prisons, people in the military. Those are the first test subjects that you'll see these things put out on.
Or if the doctor can't seem to understand what is going on.
Exactly. So the pain simulator, it makes sense that the first application of it would be in the medical field. Because they also have a bunch of money being thrown at research.
Yeah.
So that's just how it goes. The second episode that I put in order that comes after the pain simulator story is playtest. And in playtest, you're putting yourself in a video game. People see this technology, they see that, you know, this is happening in the medical world.
Yeah.
People are kind of know about it a little bit. So this game company, who also has a bunch of money, decides that they want to get in on this. And they want to develop something to where you are putting yourself inside of it. And
you feel it. You feel everything.
Yeah, it is your reality at that point.
Yeah.
And again, in this is all in beta. They are getting people to come and test it out. It is not released to the general public. This is testing phase. Therefore, it comes after the pain simulator, but before other simulated realities. Which brings us to the next one, which is, it ties into playtest perfectly because it's just a little bit after it. Excuse me, and that's Striking Vipers.
Yeah.
Striking Vipers is literally them playing a video game.
We're not playing.
But in Striking Vipers, it's the exact same thing, except this is released to the public. It's this new thing that they're testing out, and it's Street Fighter, but, you know.
Sex.
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 Exactly. So it's just the development of that technology. We see it makes logical sense that it would go from playtest to Striking Vipers. And then finally, we see USS Callister, another video game-based episode. But in this one, you see that he's taking it one step further. He's not only putting himself in this, and he's not only going online with other people.
Yeah.
He is uploading their DNA.
I forgot about that. People that treat him like shit at work.
Yeah.
And he treats them like shit in the USS Callister.
Yes.
Forgot about that.
So he actually puts them in this, which shows that that you have this technology already exists and you're just advancing it. Yeah. He's just advancing constantly this technology. So that's it for the simulated reality. The next one is observed and enhanced self. Mm-hmm. Now, in the very beginning of this, the beginning technology we see is crocodile, because we see into the minds of people, but it is very crude. It looks like what would happen at the very beginning of the technology that you would see with like a grain.
It looks like a 70s TV.
Yeah, and they have to, in order to read the memory, they have to be thinking about that memory. They can only observe what's going on in your head right then.
Yeah, and they make them smell things.
Yes.
Stuff like that. So smart. That as they were starting that technology out, very smart way of doing so, because I think they're working on something. I read actually something recently in real life, not in this Black Mirror universe, that they are trying to figure out how to recreate memories in images through smells.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure that out now. And
yeah.
Like, whoa.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Yeah, that's right. That's right. It was Elon Musk.
He has it with an implant too.
Oh, it's so cool.
Oh, it's cool but terrifying, dude.
Yeah.
Ugh. That's a whole nother.
Elon Tusk.
So it also is not generally available to the public at times, or at this time. It is only used for like criminal applications, and it's only used in specific ways, which makes sense, and that's why it's put at the top of the list. The next one in this is Men Against Fire, and in this episode, it's a high-level implant, and I struggled a little bit with this because it seems like it's very developed.
Yeah.
But then I remember that this is set in America, that specific episode is set in America, and we spend so much money on our military. And I worked for a part of the DoD, Department of Defense, and they just get money thrown at them. They're doing all kinds of research and all kinds of things that people have no idea about.
Wow.
So you know what? It does not surprise me for a second if the military gets this highly developed thing that they are using consistently before we even see it generally in the public in the real world. So that's why I put it next, because it makes sense. He didn't know what it was when he signed up. He never heard of anything like that. It was very confusing and didn't make sense. Like when he agreed to have the mass inside of him, he didn't know what that really meant.
Yeah. He just agreed to it because he wanted to become a soldier. Right,
and so they're sort of the guinea pigs as we see this technology pave the way for how we see it later in the real world. The next one I have is Archangel. So this is the first time we see the technology from Men Against Fire, the mask, given to the public. It's a trial run, and they spin it as a way to make sure your family is safe. They are preying on the parents who are very protective and scared and want to protect their family. And so that's perfect. You know, they can prey on that. This is a way to get it introduced to where the next generation will have these implants
inside of them.
Yeah, because it's not their choice. You know, as adults, it would be very hard to convince a lot of people that are already adults to get this for the first time.
Yeah, because they're really like, what the hell are you talking about? No.
Exactly. I don't want you in my brain. I don't want you in my head.
Yeah.
But a child doesn't have a choice. And the parents might not be thinking about long term. They're just thinking, I need to protect my child right now. So what better way to get this technology into most of the public than start by doing as many children as you can?
Yeah. That's a really smart way of putting it.
Thank you. Next I have White Christmas. In White Christmas we see similar capabilities with the tech and Archangel, but instead of a tablet controlling it, these are adults controlling their own implant, putting it after Archangel as it is more developed. And like I said, my theory is that it is the children that have grown up, that had the Archangel as a child, that grow up to now have this technology readily available and could be used for themselves. Which is kind of how we see the last one on this list, which is the entire history of you, which is called The Grain at this point. and you control it. It is yourself, and you can go back and revisit your memories and also put them up on a screen. And we really see the epitome of this technology happen in the entire history of you, which that's why, and it's everybody, it's everywhere. It's everybody.
All over.
Right, like how we talked about in the beginning of this, how it's weird that girl didn't have the grain. That was very weird because everyone has at this point, which means
like
that
you don't have a phone. Like you don't have an iPhone. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't have a smartphone?
Exactly. Like, yeah, I do agree that as far as the grain's advantage with like security, that's huge.
It's huge.
It's huge. So that is actually the end of that category. I believe that was the observed and enhanced self category. Now, we're going to go to the upload and copy category, which I'm going to start with Be Right Back. Now, Be Right Back is tough because it's sort of a bridge between the reality we know and like a future world where you do upload your consciousness. It uses AI to recreate people, which just wasn't, the whole point is that it was like in the uncanny valley. Do you know that theory? Do you know what the uncanny valley is?
I don't.
Okay, so the uncanny valley, it's like when you're using AI or these dolls, they try to simulate reality, but you just get this feeling that something's off.
Like something's wrong.
Something's wrong. It's creepy. It comes off as creepy. Oh. It's not right. It's like, it's close, but you can tell it's just not right. And that's a theory and things that people have observed for a long time.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of, fake people and things like that.
It does make sense.
Exactly. And it's because you want a technology that, because if you know it's AI and it's not real, then it's not creepy.
Yeah.
But they're in that middle thing where it's real, but it's not.
It's not, yeah.
So it's creepy.
Caught in between.
Right. And so that's why this is sort of in that in between, because we see her kind of go through this uncanny valley. Right after this, we have Cassie and Jack, which is a story from Black Museum, which is when they actually test out the uploading of her consciousness into his head and then into a teddy bear. And this is important, and it's at this time because she's dying. She has no other option. You know what I mean? Like, either she's going to die, or she's going to die and they're still going to have a copy of her.
Yeah.
They're still going to have her around. Which makes sense that that's when they would do this on people who didn't have a choice in the beginning, because this is a developing technology.
Didn't they actually... I actually briefly remember they started off her technology being in a coma with a red and blue light, or a red and green light.
Red and green light, yeah, for yes and no.
She wanted to be uploaded.
Yep.
She wanted that.
Yep.
Damn. That just like popped into my head right
now. No, yeah. So that's why they did it, because they had some technology, but not...
It wasn't too advanced. So
exactly.
Like, we have another thing that you can try out for free.
For free?
That's when you know.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Exactly. If it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
Like the Archangel was free.
Yeah. Because that was just a test.
It was.
Just a test. After that, we see The Prisoner, which is another Black Museum story, and he actually says this is a logical progression, because they take it from people who need it because they're dying, and they put it on people who don't need it, but they don't have a choice. He did agree to do this because it would give his family money. That's why he agreed to do it, but he agreed that his execution would be copied, and that consciousness was put into this exhibit. And also, whenever they did it, a little souvenir came out that had a upload of his consciousness.
Screaming.
In pain forever.
Yes. Yeah. God. I hella forgot about
brutal,
that.
Man. It's brutal. Okay. But, like I said, that was a novelty. That was an attraction. People came to see this. This wasn't a known thing. After that, we see it kind of branch out into the world. And in this is where I really put Rachel, Jack, and Ashley too. This is the one where Miley Cyrus was in.
Yeah.
And it was presented to the public as just, you get a copy of
the singer.
Ashley too, right?
Yeah.
And this is Ashley too. Yeah. This is her. But, so it's the technology where they had her entire consciousness, all of her. They copied it, and they put a limiter on it, which means that they knew how to control this thing. This was already developed thing.
Technology.
It was already developed technology that they are now releasing for for people.
As an attraction to kids or fans. I guess I could say hardcore fans.
Mm-hmm. Next on the list is White Bear. And like in The Prisoner, White Bear is sort of a new technology that is given to prisoners, but it's not this one attraction, this one thing. People know what it is. Mm-hmm. People come and sign up to go into this world.
You want to torture a prisoner?
Here you go. It's not just pulling a switch and seeing this, hologram-looking person. Mm-hmm. It's seeing the person, and people go. It's still an attraction, but they go to see this.
Yeah.
And it's much more commonplace. People aren't like, whoa, this is a new thing.
Yeah.
They're like, this is so cool. It's like, if I go to, the arcades that have VR.
Yes.
I might not own a VR, but I know what a VR is.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go take advantage of it. So people don't have the ability to do it themselves, but they can go and do it.
If they want.
Yeah. Next on this list is White Christmas. And it connects several themes and technologies. White Christmas does have a lot of stories in it, similar to Black Museum, where it grounds the timeline a lot by connecting. To me, White Christmas and Black Museum were the two most important episodes.
Yeah.
Because you do see multiple different technologies come together and where they were at that one moment in time. Mm. So in the context of uploading, you see White Christmas here because he uploads the consciousness of someone who hasn't been convicted yet, and they sit in there for 5 years, and he eventually gets this out of him.
5 years.
5 years in the simulated reality time, which means that it's expanded past prisoners who are already, on death row, and then who are already convicted, to trying to get a conviction.
Yep.
So you see it advance. Next, we have San Junipero. And this is readily available for the elderly. You see in the way that they live that they are rather advanced time. You also see that this has been around for a while because people know what it is. In the end, you see a server room with millions, hundreds of thousands of people uploaded to this big server, which, side note, keeps servers and power and the fact that all of this is run by electricity in mind, because that comes in very important later. But in this, it's very commonplace, people know about it, but people also have the right to choose if they want to do it or not. Like, the girl, I forget her name. The one who was test running it but didn't want to do it because her husband died.
Yeah, she couldn't decide if she wanted to do it or not. I don't remember her name though, unfortunately.
Yeah, because her daughter didn't get to do that because her daughter died before.
Before the technology was released.
Maybe, or because they make once you're already dead, you can't upload your consciousness, and it sounded like it was a car accident or something that killed her.
Oh.
So it could, I think the technology was there, but I just think that for some reason she didn't get to do that. She didn't have that choice, because that's how she frames it.
She died before she got to the hospital.
Something like that. So that's why this comes next. After this, I have 3 combined, which is the ones I was talking about earlier: 15 Million Merits, Nosedive, and Hang the DJ. Because these are all simulated reality, it's rather hard to place what order these are in. I do have an order that I believe in, and I believe that that's Hang the DJ, Nosedive, then 15 Million Merits. But I will get into why, once we do the overall timeline, I feel like that might make a little more sense.
Yeah.
But just know that that comes at the end of this category. That is the epitome of uploading consciousness. Finally, the 5th and last category, it's actually going to go in the beginning of everything, but it's reality. And for the reality episodes, I relied a lot on in the very beginning of this podcast, I talked about the research that I did, and that a lot of the timelines went off of Easter eggs. And in order to differentiate where these were, I really used that. I used what I got from that in the Easter eggs that helped me place these. The first one, Bandersnatch, easy. Takes place 1984. Yeah. Says it. We're good. No more question there. My job is
That was
easy.
it.
Best part of the timeline for me. It's the timeline for me.
Shit.
Okay, the second one on this list is Smithereens. It is similar to Bandersnatch. It also has an actual date, 2018. It could take place after or around the same time as the national anthem, but I personally decided to put it first because it gives us a real-world date in which everything can happen after or near. Because this is all a gray area and specific years don't really matter in the timeline, just know it's around this time. But I wanted to ground it in 2018 to say that everything that happens after this is beyond 2018.
Definitely.
So there is an argument that the national anthem and the Waldo moment could, and even Shut Up and Dance, could theoretically take place before this. For the purposes of this, I'm going to call it, we're going to start it in 2018 and go from there.
Yeah, and I also liked your, for the national anthem, it shows it's, in that video that we saw, the technology is so not advanced.
Right.
It's still phones that have dial pads and stuff like that.
Right. Which would place it before 2018.
Well, no, there's still drug dealers.
Yeah, but he's not.
You don't know.
Right. Everyone in this is, it's 2018, but everyone's a drug dealer, so now we're just using old phones.
Old phones. Yeah.
Okay. So then we have the national anthem. I already explained that. We have the Waldo moment, which we know based on Easter eggs, based on headlines and what they talk about, is almost exactly a year after national anthem.
Yeah.
But we also see that it's a little bit more technology based. Like this, it actually fits into our time very well because this blue bear was running for office.
Like Kanye West.
I would, you know what? I would much rather have a blue bear talking shit than I would the president we have now.
He is an orange bear talking shit. He's an orange flat piece.
So it's very much similar to reality. Okay, the final one on this list is Shut Up and Dance. We see a little more technology, but not much.
Yeah.
It is after the national anthem and the Waldo moment because we specifically see a picture of Waldo, or a sticker actually, on his laptop, which means, logically, it is after. Now it's time for the overall timeline.
Yes.
We've already talked about this in great detail, but I'm just going to list it out in every single order, in order of how all the technologies tie in together and how these things can be developed at the same time, or be in different spots of development, but it would make sense that this technology would advance together.
Yes.
Starting it off, Bandersnatch, 1984, already explained, check that one off the list.
Mm-hmm.
Smithereens is after that, like I said, we're just grounding it in 2018.
Yeah.
Then, I already pretty much explained this in reality, but we have the national anthem, followed by the Waldo moment, and Shut Up and Dance. In that order.
We're on 5.
Yep, we're on 5. Number 6, we have Crocodile. Now, like we explained before, it's the very beginning of this technology.
Yeah. Starting it out.
Right, but we see that technology probably isn't available or around in Shut Up and Dance. Therefore, it makes sense that it would come after that. That is also specifically a third-party company. That is a company that is trying to make money, and they are trying to put out a new technology. Similarly, number 7 is Be Right Back. And in Be Right Back, it is also a third-party company, but it's using it's generating an AI and a human based off of their social media.
Mm-hmm.
Third-party company, that's the access that they have available publicly.
Yep.
Makes sense. Now, that is where we see the technology start to build up. Number 8 is Pain Simulator, and we already explained a lot of why it's more in the beginning of things, but Pain Simulator I feel like comes after Be Right Back because it's more legit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is something that the government is running, and the government is rather slow to start things, but once they do, they are much better at throwing money at it. They can develop it in a different way. So I feel like Pain Simulator would be next when they actually start being able to do the sensations. After that, we have Cassie and Jack, which is also a part of Black Museum.
Mm-hmm.
And the next 3, so all 3, it's the Pain Simulator, Cassie and Jack, and The Prisoner, which are the 3 stories from Black Museum.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense that those are in order because those are the order that he gives.
It's not just that too. I was just sitting on it right now. How in Cassie and Jack, she can taste when she's in his head. She can taste and feel and like hug. Like when he's hugging the kid, she can feel all of that.
That is a very good point.
Yeah, it's really makes sense coming right after Pain Simulator.
Right.
A lot of sense.
Because it uses the technology and keeps it.
Yep.
Yeah. Very good point. So all 3 of those stories come at that time because we can also see for the narrator that he's around the same age. This is in the same business. This is the same company. This is the same hospital, right?
Yep.
After this, I have Men Against Fire. And like I said, this one kind of seems out of nowhere, but the military is much more advanced. And so we see that at this point, the technology is there. And it's being used, but it's being used in a very specific way to the public. And it's already developed in Men Against Fire, but this is for the military specifically.
Yeah, only right now.
Exactly. So that's really the guinea pigs and where they refine this technology of enhancing yourself. After this, we have Archangel. And again, this is the start of the indoctrination of this policy, of this technology, because it goes into kids, and it's marketed in that way. After this, we have Playtest. This is number 13 at this point. And Playtest, it's the start of this simulated reality technology. They are taking the sensations, being able to feel it, and they are giving it to the public.
Not necessarily giving it just yet. They're testing it out.
They're testing it. Well, they're testing it on something that would appeal to adults and teenagers, which is they're obviously wanting to go for the younger market because they know that this is going to be the future.
Yeah.
So they're going to go to the gamers.
Exactly.
They're going to go to
the... they kind of did that now with the VR situation. They don't got no VRs for doctors. Maybe.
Maybe. But that's what I'm saying. So if they're really going to try and push this to be a technology for everyone, it makes sense to start with kids.
Yep.
And then give them video games.
Give them crazy video games
so
where you feel like you're getting stabbed.
Exactly. Because, I think it would be really cool if I'm playing The Last of Us and all of a sudden I get smacked in the face. Like, you don't get smacked in the face in The Last of Us.
No, but imagine getting bit by a clicker.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be scary, but I kind of want to do it,
So, a kink.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like the doctor.
Right. So they're starting to kind of play with this technology in reality. After this, I have number 14, Hated in the Nation, and for this, the technology just in general that they see is pretty advanced. It's far beyond. Yeah, it's beyond what we have.
The phones, the computers. The TVs.
Right.
Even, the TVs are thinner than hair.
Yeah. Yeah. And we see this is when the drones are introduced, and they're doing it because, the bees are going extinct, and they need to try and save the world a little bit. That's part of it.
Basically, because everyone knows if the bees go extinct, we're fucked.
Right. And we also see the use of social media in this, that it's like a Twitter. Mm-hmm. So it's still kind of our reality, but at a different level. And I do want to make a specific observation here, and that is that they're in a city. They are in a very developed city. So some of what comes after this might seem a little more like the technology is behind, but my theory with that is that the technology doesn't catch up across the world the same way. This is a very big city, and specifically we're looking at the police. I believe, within this, which they're going to have more technology. Is going to be, the rest of the world, the average person hasn't necessarily caught up,
Yeah.
To all of this.
The average house, white picket fence type
Exactly,
situation.
which leads perfectly into number 15, which is Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2. Mm-hmm. Again, the background technology might not be what you see in Hated in the Nation, but this is in the suburbs.
Yeah.
This is just an average family who gets this piece of...
They probably are struggling, if anything, because of this technology, because of how, how, what is it called? Like when the market crashes, shit like that, when the stock market crashes. If the economy is shitty, it's going to get even, in my opinion, is going to get even worse when it comes to more technology, better technology. The economy's going to fucking suck.
True.
It's going to suck. So I think him getting that Ashley 2 for his daughter was like a huge deal because they can't afford that kind of thing.
Yeah. And for me, specifically, this one comes here because the way that they do it, the fact that they can take her entire brain, they can take all of who she is, how she writes songs, how she does everything, her entire consciousness is uploaded to this. That technology is very advanced for what we're talking about here. Yeah. That is giving you Men Against Fire, later. This is so far beyond that. And they have to put, for me, what stands out too is that they put a limiter on it. They put a limiter on it because they know that releasing the total of what they can do, like knowing that they can do the entire brain of somebody and just give that to somebody, that might not be accepted at that time. Absolutely. So they put a limiter on it because they have the ability to do that because the technology is so advanced, it's just not released to the public yet. After that, we have White Bear. And this is where people know this technology from Archangel, from, playtest. They understand simulated pain, simulated reality, which is what you see here. They understand that you can upload someone's consciousness or have someone be in this world without actually being there.
And also, they were able to control the fact that she couldn't remember anything.
Exactly.
But she kept having bad dreams of a little girl that she ended up murdering.
Her daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then at the end, they just run her through the same thing every single time. And it's crazy to see. But also with this one, it is after The Prisoner. Because, The Prisoner, they did it on somebody who was on death row. If you haven't noticed.
The camera died.
Yeah, the camera died. So we're changing. We're just going to finish this up. We're near the end. But that's why the camera is different.
Yeah.
We are now using her phone.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we're just getting so into it, man.
Into it.
Okay. You said, the last thing you said is something about death.
Was it?
Yeah, because it was died and then it died at the same time.
That's crazy.
You're right.
Big brother, yo.
Okay, so we were at White Bear. We were at White Bear.
Yes.
Yeah, so The Prisoner was meant for someone who was, dying. And White Bear was just someone who was convicted. That was a part of their punishment.
Yep.
So it's not just this thing you can do if you sign off on it. This is new technology, but a little more commonplace to use it on someone who is alive.
Yeah.
Which is a very important distinction. After this, I have striking vipers. Now, this is when the video game technology we see in playtest is now out. We see it as
everywhere.
Yeah.
It's kind of becoming the norm, like the VR situation.
Like VR, yeah. It's very much like how VR entered the world. Mm-hmm. Now this is how that technology is becoming accessible to the everyday public, and it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal because it's just a video game. It's just for fun. Mm-hmm. They're not indoctrinating us. They're not putting this crazy technology that's going to take over the world. We're just playing video games.
Yeah.
So
it makes it seem...
Right. After this, I believe we have White Christmas. And again, this is a very important episode because it ties in a lot of the technology. We see that the Archangel is much more commonplace, right? It's in the average adult's mind. And so they're using it as a coaching tool. They're using it to make money. They're using it as this business. We also see a very important advancement from White Bear, because in White Bear, they use a similar technology, the cookie, on someone who was convicted. Yeah. And in White Bear, we see they're using it to try and get a confession. And in the similar way, you had it go from people who are dying to people who are convicted. Now it's to convict people. It's the progression. It's going to go down.
That's literally what happens in real life.
It's slowly starting to take over and to be used more on everyday people. in everyday situations. Mm-hmm. And that's where you get the slippery slope of eventually future happens. Mm-hmm. We'll get to. Yeah. Okay, so after White Christmas, we also see a very important note as well is that we see like the grain used, right? We see that the guy is blocked from other people at the end. Yes. We see that this technology is used by the one who did confess because his wife... Going through his memories. Yeah. Well, because his wife blocked him when he... or when she cheated on him and had a kid.
That so literally hits me in a different way.
That's just crazy. That whole thing is just crazy. But that is why White Christmas is there. After that, we have USS Callister. Again, this is the epitome of... or this is where we see that the video game technology ends up. Mm-hmm. You use DNA. You can use DNA against people's will to upload an entire copy of them. Yeah. So we really see a combination of simulated reality with sort of the grain, like you see his eyes. You see that he, goes back. Mm-hmm. But he is interacting with copies of other people. So it's combining the simulated reality with technology with the cookie technology.
DNA that he grabbed from his coworkers as well. What really kind of gets to me, what I want to ask, is how the fuck did he do that through just DNA? How can you get consciousness?
Because everything of who you are is
in your DNA. So, like, I could rip a piece of hair out and give it to you, and you can basically have a copy of me.
Not me, man.
I know, not you. I know, not you, but I'm just saying.
In this world, in how this technology develops, absolutely. I mean, that's what they're doing. You realize that that's what all of this is. That's why when Cassie is uploaded into his brain, what do you think they're doing? They're taking her DNA. How else would they get your consciousness? They're getting your DNA, they're getting your information, your data points, like you would get on a computer.
That's You're doing it so to an external hard drive. Ahead. That is so far ahead. If we were to try and put an actual time of our time into this, how far ahead would that have to be?
Not far.
I know you would know.
Not far.
I know you would know.
It wouldn't be that far. Look at what Elon Musk is doing. He's already able to take brainwaves, thoughts, and this pig just sniffing the ground and make it data points on a computer. You have supercomputers. For example, Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory has the biggest supercomputer right now, and it's called Sierra. Hi. And basically. Yeah, it's spelled the same way too. I mean, not gonna brag. But all they do is run simulations in this thing with 1 billion data points.
How do you read that? Can you read it?
Yes, you can read it. That's the whole point. They run the simulations and tell you what's going on.
The computer is telling you what's going on? Or your...
Yes. It's a supercomputer.
So, like, it talks to you?
No.
I'm genuinely...
Bro, I mean, I haven't interacted with this computer beyond seeing it in person, but that's what it does. It takes a bunch of data points, and you can, according to simulation theory and Elon Musk and everything, computers and how they work is very similar to us and how they work. We are kind of making them after us. We want them to be more and more realistic. And what this technology is doing is it's taking your consciousness and making it ones and zeros. It's making it data points, and it's turning you into a computer. It's AI. It's artificial intelligence. So it's just really good enough to be able to make an indistinguishable copy of yourself. But it's all just fake. It's all just a computer.
That's so crazy that all that kind of stuff came from humans.
Yeah. Yeah. But I really don't think that it's that crazy to see it going this way. And that's why I think you do get a feeling of uneasiness when you watch Black Mirror, because you know that this is where we're going a little bit.
Well, no, I think the one that really made me uneasy, actually you'd be pretty surprised, is Playtest, and then also White Bear.
I could see that.
It made me very uneasy because I was just like, ooh, like, does a person really deserve that that many times? Like, it makes you think like that. She did, though. Answered my question there. She's a horrible fucking person. But then it falls into the line of, the girl's dad, the prisoner.
Right.
He didn't fucking deserve that at all.
Yeah. So,
yes.
in USS Callister, another very important point is that they, the people in this, specifically Tracy from How I Met Your Mother, the mom, she was the main person in this, right? You remember that?
Holy shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude, that's her.
Holy shit.
That's her. No one was expecting them to take their DNA and upload it into this. You know what I mean? He was coming up with this technology. Which leads me to number 20 on the list, San Junipero. This is already a very well-known thing. They know this is happening. They know what it is. These old people, when they die, they go to San Junipero because they can live out this thing. They have a test run of it. You know what I mean? Like, this is something... And at the end, you see all of the, servers and everything, which I already talked about. But, yeah, you see all of that come together, and it's a very common thing. You have a choice in it, but it makes sense that you're going to upload yourself. Everyone chooses that because it's better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we definitely see it as continuing on.
They believe it's better because no one has actual factual proof or evidence showing that there's any sort of afterlife. So they chose something
safe.
that they knew, something safe.
Honestly, I would do it. 100%, I would do it.
True, but the people that died beforehand, you can't see them.
True, but you know what? It's just a copy of you. You will die and go to the afterlife. It's just another copy of you that exists.
Yes, that's true. Oh. That's right. No, because I was like, what about past lives?
What about past lives?
Oh, yeah.
That has nothing to do with the copy.
No, I know, you're right. It's a copy. It's not actually
It's not you.
It's not me.
It's not you. It's technology, man. That's all it is. Just tech. It's an illusion. It's an illusion.
It's your consciousness, and they think it's really them, but it's not.
It's a copy of them.
Fucked up situation.
It's a whole
intertwining, like.
Yes. Okay, number 21, Black Museum, and this isn't the stories. This is the actual Black Museum that's taken place.
Yes.
I put it here because the technology in the story, like her mom, is uploaded into her head, and you know what? If they can upload you to San Junipero, why not also upload you into the minds of the people you love?
Yep.
And he mentions a lot how it's not an attraction anymore. Like, people don't come to see, which means that it's in everyday world. Like, why would I come see a holographic uploaded consciousness when I
can go, like, literally torture a prisoner?
Or,
like, physically.
Like, we're far beyond that, because at this point, we have White Christmas. We can get Alexa. That is me. Like, that's just there in my home. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go all the way out to the middle of a desert.
That's true.
To see this one is right here.
If you had your own Alexa, I feel like your Alexa self would be so annoying.
I don't want to do that. I would hate myself. I would hate it. I would be like, shut the fuck up.
Shut up, Sierra.
Exactly. God. Like, I'm so lazy. Me in there would be like, yeah, I'll do it later. My Alexa would be lazy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where we were.
I think my consciousness would somehow develop weed inside of my little Alexa and just constantly just be token.
Hell
like,
yeah.
Can you do it? Can you turn my lights on? It's like, I don't know, dude. You can literally press a button, but it's like over there. That's what mine would be like.
Hell yes. Hell yes. Oh my god. So that's why, because this technology is so available and people in their everyday lives are using it and choosing to use it, the draw of Black Museum doesn't make any sense. Yeah. You know. After this, we see the entire history of you, which, again, the grain is just there.
Yep.
Everyone uses it. Everyone knows it. It's weird if you don't have it. Mm-hmm. That is the end of this technology. This is where it goes. This is where we see that it ends up. Yeah. Is that it's just everyone uses it. It's a part of everyday life.
And it's weird if you don't have it.
Exactly. It's completely implemented into our world, and it's therefore completely removed from the world we know now. That's how much this technology has taken over. Which also leads us to the final 4, which are very important because this is where reality is gone. By this point, we are thrown into these episodes that we don't understand. We are thrown into these worlds that are so far gone from us because it is so far gone. It is not reality anymore. And the first one in this is Hang the DJ. Now, in this, we see the technology of simulations. This is what I was talking about with the supercomputer. Basically, you ask it a question, okay? In Hang the DJ, it's, am I compatible with this person? And it runs simulation after simulation after simulation after simulation with different people, with different scenarios, with different situations, how it ends up, and all it gives you, you push a button, all it gives you is a compatibility number. This is 99% going to work out. That is what simulations are. It's a percentage of a likelihood that it's going to work out given variables.
Yeah, given the outside variables.
Exactly.
No matter what, they always ended up together.
Exactly. And that is really where we see the cookie end up. We see hundreds or thousands of data points, and these data points are actual copies of you.
Yeah.
But to us, it's just pushing a button on an app.
Yep.
It's just a
Tinder.
simulation. Yeah, it's just a simulation. It's the same as me respawning in Call of Duty.
Yep.
But it's like if we respawn in Call of Duty and that is a copy of us who's running through a simulation.
That was so fucking cool.
But this one is first on the list of these where it's completely simulated reality because we do see it at the end actually go into our reality, which means that there are people. There are, that they are not living in this 100% of the time. They just push a button and we are seeing it from that simulation's perspective. But the world's still around. The world's still kicking. People are still going to bars.
Yep.
R.I.P. bars.
Yeah, R.I.P. bars right now. Fuck. Fuck.
COVID. Hey, here's good news. COVID in this universe, gone.
It doesn't exist.
Well, it doesn't exist anymore.
Not yet.
We're good.
Not yet. We don't know. They might make something.
Maybe that's why in Metalhead everything's ruined.
Oh, fuck. God damn it.
Alright. After this, I have Nosedive, and I think that this is also from the mind of a simulated reality individual. And my theory on this is that in Nosedive in particular, it's about social media, and it's about her buying a house, and it's about how she can gain social status. Okay? And what was really important to me when I watched this episode, when I was developing this, was to look at the fact that she went to this therapist or this person that helped her come up with ways to increase her social status and to make her number go up.
He was like a social guide. I think that's what he was called.
Right. And how I see this playing out is that I see it's similar to Hang the DJ, where it might just be a simulation app, push a button, and it'll tell you, if you move here,
this is what will happen.
This is what will happen. This is how your social status will go up. And in this world, that all is the only thing that matters because that's what they're simulating. Similar to in Hang the DJ, the romance, the who you're with is the only thing that mattered because that's what they were testing. Mm-hmm. In this, social status is the only thing that matters because that's what they're testing. In reality, our future reality, that is not the only thing that matters, but when we're pushing a button on an app, that's all we want to know about.
That's true. At that point in time, our mind is wanting that specific thing.
So that was just one outcome, one scenario of what could happen. And then you could run that thousands of times, and she could actually make it to the wedding. She could actually get these things. She could treat her brother differently. You would test different variables and see what happens every time.
I love how it ends, though, where she feels so released.
She's like,
fuck you! With the guy.
Oh, so good.
And the guy was, super in on it. He was like, fuck you. He's like, fuck you!
So good. So good. But I do think that is completely in the mind of a simulated person.
Yes.
Or a cookie, an uploaded consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Number 25, the second to last one, is 15 million merits. Now, this one, to me, is really important to this timeline. Because you see them generating power in this. It's kind of this dystopian land where they're living in luxury. They have this whole thing around them where, they wake up and they're, living with all this technology. But every single day, they're going and they're biking. Yeah. They're riding on a bike to try and get merits so that they can buy things. And, they're powering everything. That is how it's given to us. They are powering everything.
Everything.
And I think, now hear me out. In San Junipero, you see servers. You see servers filled with people.
Millions
of people. And with this technology being so in place, that's going to take up so much power. That takes up so much energy. That it makes sense that in order to gain energy, in order to come up with renewable power energy, in order to be able to run the actual world, that you would rely on uploads of consciousness from people who are grunts, who are just there. Their only existence is to power your world. To me, this screams like an energy crisis. It seems to me like there is an energy crisis that is happening, and they need to rely on this technology to keep the technology going.
Yep. 100%.
Mic drop. That's like that's one of my proudest. That's one of my proudest. Theories.
Because they really don't even tell you anything about an outside world. People outside don't exist. They don't talk about anything. They don't even talk about the viewers who are supposedly watching.
Yeah.
Nobody.
No,
no one else is there except the grunts.
Right, and that's what it would make sense because that's what they do. They just make power.
Ooh.
What was that? Finally on this list, rounding it all out. This episode, I didn't really like the episode at first. It didn't make sense to me.
I was so mad at it.
Yeah,
I was so mad at it. Plus, they released Metalhead so early on.
Wow, way to just totally. I was about to say Metalhead. I didn't say the name of it yet, and you just gave it away.
My bad. As the point of the whole curious stoner factual engineer.
I was building the suspense.
Building it up.
I didn't understand this episode at first. You either.
Yeah.
But Metalhead
made me angry as hell. I had no idea what the fuck was going on.
Same.
And the way they released it in the timeline of Netflix. The way they released it makes no sense whatsoever.
And I think that that's a part of it, because to me, it is the perfect ending of,
everything.
Look at where this is going. You have this amazing capability, this amazing technology that you're using. You have sort of a WALL-E situation with, energy, that there's some kind of crisis happening, and the world is ending, but everyone's fine because they're up somewhere else. They're distracted, you know what I mean?
They're probably all, we never really thought about this, they're all probably in the cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all simulated, and these are the people that aren't.
Yep.
And we see it as black and white, I believe, because it's going back to, it's regressing. Technology has advanced so much that now we're back into nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We're back to nothing whatsoever, so it's black and white.
Like I Am Mother. I don't think you've seen that.
No.
It's insane. You have to watch it. If you ever have 2.5 hours in your life, do it.
For sure. But yeah, so it's where these drones take over, because, if we have this technology to where we could be living in the cookie, or living these amazing lives, then of course we're going to want technology to run everything else. And, eventually these drones are just so powerful that they're the ones that run everything.
Yep.
And there's nothing we could do about it. We're at the bottom of the food chain at this point, and it's black and white, and it's these people just trying to get a teddy bear for the other people in their lives.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Metalhead. It's where it ends. That's where this slippery slope goes. You have this amazing technology. You have this amazing life that you see in the entire history of you. Not amazing life, because it does show the drawbacks. Every situation, every episode shows the drawbacks.
Not really San Junipero. San Junipero ended in a good note.
San Junipero is a happy story.
It's a happy
and
episode.
It's also gay.
It's also very gay.
I love it.
Have you also realized that almost every episode is English? Or European?
Yeah.
We should touch on that.
Well, because that goes into... I believe that goes into...
Or,
Hated
no,
Nation's
not
in
Hated.
the UK.
That's UK as well. No, the military one.
That's
Men
US.
Against Fire. That's a US one.
Yeah, but it's into, the Middle East, I believe.
Yes.
But, I think that whole point of it being, American or, the UK, European, is... That really plays into what I was talking about when I was talking about Hated in the Nation, because they were in a city. They were in a very well-developed country. They're in first world countries. that's where this is gonna go. You know, there's parts of the world now that if they saw the technology that you and I have right now, that's insane
to them.
Because it's not there yet.
And yet, I'm sure if we see some, like, I remember when the Apple Watch came out, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, dude, this is so sick. We're getting into Black Mirror now.
Yeah, sick. Tight. Yeah, so fun. We're Black Mirror times. Yay.
Now the world can track me in 2 ways, my phone and my watch.
Yeah.
Phone died? Nah, we can still track you. It's basically what it's saying.
We got you. Don't worry. You're uploaded to 1 million other places.
1 million merits. Shit.
So, all in all, that is my timeline from beginning to end. That is how, in the Black Mirror universe, you go from Bandersnatch, where he's just trying to make a game. He's trying to make a choose-your-own-adventure game, all the way to Metalhead, where you see the end of the world as we know it after everything that happens. You see the build. You see it get there. And you know what I'm really worried about? The number one thing. I'm really worried about the next season of Black Mirror is going to come out and it's going to just completely shit on my theory.
Well, we will see.
That is the biggest fear of mine.
I was just thinking that because, like I said, Metalhead is the end. So what are they going to do after that?
Oh, are you kidding? Because there's so much more that they can expand on, because Metalhead is so far in the future that you could see more happen within that.
They can bring up how the dogs came into play.
I mean, not only that, dude, I mean, Metalhead was released, there's episodes after Metalhead. It's not like it went in chronological order. You know what I mean?
Totally
I had to put it together.
That drove me insane. I was mad about
so
that.
There's a lot of places it could go. I just hope that they don't give one episode that's just completely going to wreck everything as far as my timeline.
Yeah.
My theories. But that is my Black Mirror theory timeline.
This is our first podcast.
This is our first podcast. Yes. By the way, my name is Sierra.
And I'm Yaya.
Yeah. We didn't give an introduction at the beginning of this, but, you'll get to know us over time.
I thought we did.
No, that wasn't this is our second take of the podcast.
Not of the whole fucking thing.
No, but in the beginning, I got nervous. So we did it again.
Yep.
But expect more. We have more coming up. Hopefully, we can get things a little more smooth, so we don't have to keep, changing the cameras and, doing all that. But this is a test run. Yep. And we look forward to seeing you guys later. Just remember,
stay curiously
factual.